About 5 years ago, I was supposed to interview our next guest, but he was too ill to come to the set. But with us now, healthy as ever, is Bob Walsh. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me.
You look incredible. Such a delight to see you walking in to the set today. And we spoke on the phone over the weekend. You told me this wonderful story about your personal journey. And you've actually written 2 books. So now, which book was first?
First one is My Life of Miracles.
Okay.
Witnessing every miracle there is through the power of prayer.
When did your prayer journey start? At what age did you realize that you were a spiritual being?
Probably 4 or 5 years old, and continues to present time.
So you've helped a lot of people. You didn't know that you needed the prayer. So let's talk about that, how you've been in service to others all these years, Bob.
Over all these years, I pray for people and I watch God heal them in so many wonderful ways, very often miraculous, never thinking time may come when I need the healing prayer. Well, 2 years ago, I discovered that I had something in common with Steve Jobs, Aretha Franklin, John Wayne, Betty Davis, the great running back, Walter Payton. I had neuroendocrine cancer. Very rare, incurable cancer. It was discovered, Donna, when a tumor appeared, one of the tumors I have on my ampulla of vata in the center of my digestive system, closing everything off. I was about to die. The surgeon who went in to see what was wrong took biopsies and color pictures of this deadly tumor that had closed everything. And he said he would go back in a few weeks later to, as he said, give me more time by cutting as much of the tumor away as he could. Well, when he went back in, there was no tumor there. It disappeared. There was no medical reason to explain it. And so everyone in 5 different cancer centers studying the biopsies and PET scan color pictures said, this is a miracle. Well, jump forward. And here you have one of the only books of its kind that explains the personal journey that I have, continue to have with net cancer, much as Steve Jobs did, Aretha Franklin, and all the other folks. Well, I couldn't find much information, so I said, I'm going to write a book, talk about miracles. This book describes not only my journey, Donna, but it provides very, very important, vital information about what is involved, what it means, the glossary, and who the different doctors are that have, the very few in the world who have any knowledge about it.
I had you on the show also, Bob, because, and I have never shared this story, I also had a personal miracle in my life. I had a fallopian tube pregnancy and went to the hospital, and they were ready to do surgery on me. And I prayed, and I said, if you're with me, there was a curtain that was around the hospital bed in the emergency room, but there was like this little silver dangling hook. And I said, if you're with me, could you make that dangling hook shake? And it did. They kept taking other people that had trauma and things like that. By the time the doctor came down I was sitting up, I was in no pain, everything was wonderful. And they looked and it completely dissolved on its own.
How wonderful.
So I went from emergency surgery to an actual personal miracle. And the doctors came in and they're like, well, I guess just go home. I'm like, what do you mean go home? They're like, you're absolutely fine. They're like, call us in the morning, maybe take a couple of aspirin. The old joke, take 2 aspirin and call us in the morning. And that happened at Huntington Hospital. So when you were talking to me about this happening, I said to myself, I'm like, I believe. And I just wanted to have you on to talk about the greatness of that. Because sometimes it really, truly does have, miraculous prayer does have miraculous effects.
Absolutely.
So this book is filled with what? Tell us about some of the chapters, Bob.
Well, it describes much of the despair I had immediately in learning it's incurable, it's terrible, the side effects and sufferings are so terrible, and that there's very little known about it. So people literally all over the community, all over the world, started praying for me, offering masses up. All my friends in St. Cyril's Catholic Church in Deer Park stormed the heavens. And then we all heard the good news that the tumor literally disappeared. Not the cancer, but God took away the tumor. We'll jump forward now to this summer, and another tumor became apparent, much worse than the first. And so, rather than going to one of the 5, then 6 cancer centers studying me, I went to Mount Sinai Cancer Center in the city. Dr. Edward Wallen is a renowned oncologist, considered the greatest of them all for neuroendocrine cancer. So he and an entire team of highly skilled oncologists went in and looked to see what they could learn and perhaps even help me. Well, guess what? It disappeared the second time. All the prayers, all the masses being offered literally everywhere in the world. People heard the news. Oh my God. Well, a doctor who performed the procedure told my wife Margie, it's not a miracle. She's saying it's a miracle. He said, no, it's not. We'll find out the medical reason. A whole team of oncologists for the entire weekend, over Columbus Day weekend, studied everything they could about me. And guess what? That doctor called and said, tell your wife, we now agree. It's a second miracle. Prayer really works. So my good friend John Abbott-Billy told me, you got to talk to Donna Drake, get on her show, tell people the great reality that prayer makes a difference.
It does.
We don't all get physical miracles, but we all get help and courage and strength, whether it's cancer, health, relationship, whatever it may be. We go to the specialist. Well, include God. Go to the spiritual specialist. Those 2 books are just an inkling of what is possible when we don't limit God. I give all the credit where it's due to the wonderful doctors and now 7 cancer centers, all fighting over me. They say, no, he must be our patient. I say, I'm everybody's patient. Share the news. And they all acknowledge it was a miracle. I sent a letter with all the medical reports, the PET scans, the biopsies, to Bishop John Barris here in Rockville Center, Long Island. And he just sent a letter back to me saying, isn't it wonderful that miracles happened? And wonderful that you're willing to share this. Well, very easy to share. I'm living proof that prayer really works.
It does. And I thank you so much for being here. My mom passed away from breast cancer when I was pregnant with my first son, and I lost a spouse to colon cancer right around February of 2004. And even during that journey, even though they passed, there was still blessings. And so I do believe in prayer, whether you have a miraculous, like you said, sometimes it's not, prayer doesn't result in a physical manifestation, but it always does help. There's always something good to be learned from prayer. So I thank you so much for joining us. I wish you continued success and happiness, and congratulations to you said 53 years that you've been married.
Isn't that wonderful?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Happy journeys to you and many blessings. Please stay tuned for more on Live It Up. Prayer, it couldn't hurt. It helped for Bob Walsh, and it could help for you. We want to hear your stories. Love it.